Welcome to Biggest Geekus. We're your hosts. I'm Randy.
And I'm Joe.
This is episode 24 of our podcast, and the date is Monday, February 15th, 2021. You heard that right. It's Monday.
Monday.
A little bit early this time. Got so pumped with Philip last week doing 5E, we thought we had to push ahead and do a little bit more of cool podcasting.
Yes, definitely. Also, I'm not working today, or tomorrow, so it just made sense. We were already at it.
Yeah, and I'm a teacher and I don't really work, so that's
Not
pretty
really.
cool. That's sweet.
I agree with that.
Yes, I resemble that remark. So, what you been up to, man? Anything cool?
Well, it wasn't this past weekend that we gamed online.
No,
the weekend before.
This weekend.
But it's coming up. It's coming up. Number 2.
Sweet. Yeah, a little more Savage Worlds action via Zoom.
Once we get out of our current Michigan Ice Age, we might do some in-person gaming.
That would be it.
We might be able to get the demos over to our house without trudging through the tundra of frozen waste.
That would be most excellent. I want to have that too. I think the Nichols household is going to be having folks over hopefully soon, so that'll be exciting.
Have some folks over. If we don't game, we can hang out and talk and do that kind of stuff and game at some point in the future. That'll be good stuff.
Yeah, buddy.
This game is meant to be played face to face.
It is, no doubt. So, on to the gaming news. First was a little Q&A blitz there by Savage Pathfinder. Did you get a chance to take a look-see at that?
Well, I would say I did, but I would be a liar.
That's okay.
The other thing is, I pulled it up, the Q&A, and then I started scrolling through it, and I realized I'm not sure if I care enough.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Savage Pathfinder is not really your cup of tea.
I've been hearing some folks, and I don't know for sure, because I haven't looked at. I'm not sure what rules items they've released to the public yet. Any sneak peeks or anything.
They've been doing a lot of play tests, showing them play the game on Twitch and stuff.
Right. So is there a lot of, from what you can tell, is there a lot of rules additions for this, for Pathfinder? Are there a lot?
It sounds like there's going to be quite a bit of adjustments because they talk about how Pathfinder Fantasy has a lot of things that need to be taken into account. Like, for example, wizards aren't going to be wearing armor like you can do in Savage Worlds if you just pick the right armor or pick your right feats, or not feats, but edges and stuff. So I think they're going to do quite a bit. They do seem to say that they've had a lot. They think the world was intrinsic, and they've talked a lot about possibly doing even more adventure paths in the future. I know they're going to give Hollow's Hope, which is a module that's going to be part of the Kickstarter. They've done that, and they seem to be pretty excited. It was mostly just about them saying, "Hey, we're pretty excited about all this." And the Fantasy Companion is now a hardback that's going to be in the Kickstarter. It's going to talk about a variety of things like rogue sneak attack and grouping armor and shields into a Pathfinder style categories.
Did you just say that they're putting the new Fantasy Companion in the Kickstarter?
No, I'm talking about how did they say this here? Let me read this real quick. It says, how would you say that Savage Pathfinder compares to other fantasy rules like the Fantasy Companion? And Shane said, we often say convert the setting, not the system, when people ask for advice on playing the game worlds with Savage Worlds. In the case of Pathfinder, in D20 in general, the system is baked pretty heavily into the fabric of the worlds. Wizards don't usually wear armor, rogues get sneak attacks via class edges, and little changes like grouping armor and shields into Pathfinder categories. I think we've managed to capture both the free form of Savage Worlds and the Pathfinder tropes that establish the way the world works. So it says we talked about Pathfinder for Savage Worlds and the Fantasy Companions development assisting one another, and that's very true. You'll see some crossover since a lot of our favorite fantasy tropes exist in Pathfinder 2. We've got a lot more up our sleeves for the Fantasy Companion. So the Fantasy Companion will be
forthcoming.
And I misspoke. There's a Pathfinder companion that's going to be in hardback. The fantasy companion is eventually going to come out for general fantasy for Savage Worlds, and I think the Kickstarter ends tonight. So I decided I was going to stay in. I want to get it. If nothing else, like we'll have a lot of stuff to read and use in my own fantasy world. If I like it, I'll borrow it and stuff like that. So, but I understand it's got Paizo in it, so you know it's going to have a lot of wokeitude. So hopefully it won't drive me too crazy. I don't know if it's going to have a lot.
I don't think it'll have a lot. It'll just have the little bit that you can't help, like calling races. What's the word they use for race? Ancestries.
Yeah, I don't even get that. That's just too weird for words.
I think that's probably the only thing you'll really see in it. But some people, so I was watching, a Twitch video called something that I can't remember at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Legion of something or other. Okay. I mentioned it earlier. You remember what the words I used?
Something about myth.
Legion of Myth.
Yeah.
And they were talking about not this Q&A, but about how much Pathfinder is going to bleed into Savage Worlds. And they said, well, if it's too much, then are you really playing Savage Worlds? So
true.
is it going to be, it's not going to be Pathfinder specifically. If there's too much changes, it's not. From a purist point of view, Savage Worlds, but all of these different Savage Worlds type things like Savage Pathfinder, you got Savage Rifts and so forth, they all take a departure to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something to think about.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm going to skip the second piece of news there because there's not much I wanted to say on that. Plus, notice I left this. I got the wrong thread there, so I got the wrong link there. So that's not going to take us where I want to go. Oh. But I know the article is about WotC in general settling with different companies, and how much do you think that might mean that eventually? Well, how did the guy put it? I could be mixing two things up here. Maybe I don't even want to go down this road. I was thinking of something else. I think I'm going to pass. Let's jump to the Free League.
All right.
So the Free League, I'm sorry about that. I just don't think I want to roll on that one. Free League, One Ring, second edition. We both kind of skimmed through that earlier, and it's such a short little blurb on it. They're over 140K basically after one day, and they're going like gangbusters. I didn't realize this. For the role-playing record book, it was Matt Colville's Strongholds and Followers. I thought Monty Cook owned that, but he broke 2 million. What do you think of that, dude? That's crazy. That's a lot of money for an RPG supplement.
It is. Well, for which one?
It was Matt Colville's Strongholds and Followers.
Was that just a supplement?
Yeah, for 5th edition.
Oh.
Yeah. Basically, for we had that whole podcast on domains and stuff. That's what it's about for 5e. Building strongholds and having followers and stuff. So.
Wow. He made a whole supplement and made $2 million on that concept?
That's pretty amazing.
That's amazing.
Like the idea. I mean, Colville's a pretty interesting dude. I haven't watched too much of him, but what I've seen him, he's kind of interesting. And then John Wick 7C Kickstarter was 1.2 million. I thought for sure Cook had made at least that much on some of his Numenera, Cypher.
Well, they just get one, you see it his name in Kickstarters a lot, and they fund really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like a lot of money, but this one, and I haven't been paying attention to Kickstarter a lot recently. Right. So, and I don't know, when did this supplement come out?
I don't know when it came out. Let me do a quick search here. Strongholds and Followers. I don't know, but it's I don't think it's terribly a long time ago.
This 5e has been out for some time.
Looks like it was announced on this website. Oh gosh, I cannot find a date. Not too old though. I mean, it's a 5e thing, so I don't know. Sorry, bud, I don't have the.
Huh.
info. Here we go. This might be Matt Colville Productions. Looks like, when did it first come out? I don't know. Doesn't even say. So sorry, I don't know. I want to say a couple years ago. What? It's not too old. So
It's interesting.
I
I
think it's
mean,
interesting how I just, like you said, I wouldn't think a supplement would be able to garner, just a supplement to 5e, a third party supplement would
well,
garner that much.
if the
No,
supplement was like Game World, where there that would be one thing, but you could see it having um, a lot of volume, a lot of material there.
yeah,
But
but I
the
don't.
idea of domains, your castles, and your followers, that can't take up that much space. I wonder how long that book is. Probably a lot of unneeded but very good art.
Um, I think Colo probably made some good. Here's the thing, though. What about this? When you make a world, right? Think about how not Wizards, but TSR did when they were making the millions and millions of worlds. Birthright during second edition, Planescape. They actually said they kind of undercut themselves with all those different worlds. I wonder if maybe the appeal of something like Stronghold and Followers is more because people could use that in any campaign world. And on top of that, we have a generation. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure if you would know this. I don't think 4E had anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you
I
talk.
doubt it.
So you're talking a short generation of gamers that maybe have never seen that. You know what I'm saying? I know 2E had a booklet like that, and 3E had a booklet like that. So maybe that was the draw of Stronghold and Followers. I mean, that's all I can.
Oh, I see the draw. I
Yeah,
just don't see it being a very
lucrative.
big book.
It's how many pages? It's a doozy. 268 pages, full color, index, bookmark, PDF. Yeah.
That's a long book to talk about how you acquire your stronghold and get your followers.
Oh well.
I'd have to see it to see
Yeah,
what the
I'd
deal
like to
was.
thumb. I would prefer to thumb through it before I bought it. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something that I want, because but I could see myself liking it if there was like actual. I mean, there's a way we can talk about spending. We talked about last week with Philip about spending your money in 5e. I mean, that's a thing, right? I mean, there'd be a way to spend it.
Oh, sure.
That could be a good way to guide a
Okay.
guide of some sort. But we would hope it would translate to any edition of D&D. Anyway, now this last one I thought was pretty interesting. On Ian World, they brought out this last usage from Roll20 has been posted, and Call of Cthulhu is at the number 2 spot again. I argue that a little bit. I debate that. I don't think that's number 2 because they do have so D&D 5e snagged 53.2 something percent of people online playing role playing games were playing that. Call of Cthulhu had 11.3, but uncategorized had 14%, which I guess the idea is uncategorized must include multiple different RPGs.
It probably does. So you can't really put it on a single thing. So, but even so, it's number 2.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a really funny episode of uh, South Park
Mm-hmm.
about number 2.
I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. It's not the number after 1. Let's just put it that way.
And it's almost, not literally, it's almost, I mean, let's not talk like our millennials. It is nearly a fifth of the percentage of 5e. So it's a distant number 2.
Distant. Calling it number 2 is really doing the number 2 disservice, I think.
I mean, honestly, now no one's competing with D&D again because Pathfinder is down at 3 and basically, let's round it, 4 and 2%. And then
what does this have? This is weird.
Uh-huh.
It has an uncategorized category and an other games category.
That is weird.
Why would it have both?
Good question. Let me see if the website gives us a little bit of information. No, the link connected talks about how Japan is really hugely a big fan of Call of Cthulhu,
Oh, that might be.
but I'm trying to figure out why that would matter for. I'm not really sure.
Well, there's a big horror strain through the anime
Oh yeah,
category, so I can see Call of Cthulhu being popular. There's a lot of
doesn't
tentacles.
Japan and a lot of their movies? They're don't a lot of their movies, at least in the past, they're big they're big on tragedies.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So maybe they're just a fan of that hopelessness, don't win, or the best you can do is go crazy or hold back the dark beings beyond the stars for but a moment.
The good guy winning at the end of a long struggle is a Western uh, trope as far as storytelling goes.
Mm-hmm.
Most other non-Western cultures, that's not necessarily their big storytelling
Right.
idea.
I think like the movie. Have you seen them? You seen the movie The Descent?
That the one where they go? Of course, they go down somewhere. It's the one that the
they go to
girls. Yeah,
these ladies go somewhere and they do spelunking, and they're kind of adventurous ladies. Every year they get together. There's more to it than just, but they go into these mountains in the Appalachians somewhere, and they find these caverns that no one's explored. They end up getting lost and end up finding these little, subterranean creatures that are human-like creatures, and they attack them, and they like all but like, and only one of them gets out. At least on the American release. On the European release, I think if I'm remembering correctly, she gets out. Then you realize she's just dreaming and she's still
right.
unconscious down in there. So,
I thought it was also that that there weren't any monsters. That was all dreamt up, and that one of them was a murderer. Wasn't that?
Don't remember.
Wasn't that an alternate?
My wife really likes it. It might have been. I don't remember. It's been a while. I know it's got some good jump scares. It wasn't bad. We saw it in the movies. I wasn't disappointed by it. It was fine. I know I'm probably a bigger fan of horror movies than you are. So.
Well, that is a scary proposition, that happening on the Appalachian Trail or off of it, because that's not well traveled. Nope. I mean, it's there are people that do it all the time, do it every year. It's a once a year thing or once a every so often thing, and it's popular, but not like Disney World's popular.
Right.
So within the niche of hiking very long distance, the Appalachian Trail is a thing that a lot of people do.
Right.
But there's a lot of points along the Appalachian Trail, from what I understand, that you can go a long time without seeing a person.
Oh wow.
And there's a lot of places, I think, along the Appalachian Trail where you don't get like any kind of signal for your devices. Oh, so it would be a scary place to go, because you're kind of just out in the middle of nowhere for sure.
Well, it's like, if I remember correctly, they go down this one lady, and these ladies from all across Europe, I think, several different countries, and they've been friends for years. And this one lady who organizes the trail, the cave they're supposed to go through, they have given their route to the local rangers in case something happens. Well, this one girl that organizes decides for a special occasion she's going to take them somewhere not that trail. So they have no one that knows where they're at.
Yeah. You know? For a special occasion, I'm going to be stupid.
Well, yeah. For a special occasion, it is a horror movie. Somebody's got to do something.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I got to get the ball rolling, baby.
Yeah. I was watching a movie that was recommended by some podcast. Can't remember. Mm-hmm. I probably should, but I don't. Mm-hmm. And it's an old movie with people whose names are flying out of my head because I'm old. Anyway, at the beginning of the movie, and a few times throughout it, it's a thriller, right? So this movie relies on someone making a choice that no one should make ever. So, but if they don't make that choice, there's no movie.
Right.
So,
well, it's just
I'm like, well, you couldn't have this movie if he didn't make that choice.
I tell you a movie I love. Have you seen the movie Cabin in the Woods?
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah. Great movie.
Like when Chris Hemsworth's character is like, let's all stay together and go this way, and they shoot that chemical into him, comes through the vents, and he's like, we should wait a minute, we should split up. And I'm just like, no D&D party ever would say, you're a fool, we're all staying together. Never split the party, dude. What are you talking? It was brilliant. Even Debbie yells that to the screen. Never split the party.
Right. It's a Johnny Depp movie. That's what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Old Johnny Depp movie, Out of Time or something like that.
Oh, yeah. I think I've seen that. It's been a long time.
Yeah. It's a long time when he was very young. Not that he looks much different, but
no.
In one scene, his daughter is kidnapped, but kept nearby, and he's able to get back to where she's at. He has a gun pointed in the face of this lady that's holding her, and she's his daughter's just laying somewhere, and she's trying to convince him that she has a gun pointed at his daughter, but he's already got a gun drawn on her, so he can just shoot her in the face. Right. While she talks for a long time.
Right.
Whole monologue.
Bam, you're dead.
Bam, you're dead. In the middle of a word.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. All right. Let's get back to gaming. Actually, let's take let's have a mathematics moment, Joe.
How about we don't and say we did?
Oh, we're going to, brother.
All right.
Okay. Segment 1.5. This mathematics moment we hope to revisit later, folks. It's from last week's episode. Something bugged me. Philip was talking about 10% chance to roll a 20 with advantage. And I was like, what? And because I was thinking of all the probabilities. It would take a little bit of calculation. So I went to www.zerohitpoints.com/advantage in D&D 5.
Link will be in the show notes.
Yes. And the probability of getting a 20 with advantage is 39 out of 400, which I did calculate beforehand. And sure enough, it's 0.0975. So Philip was sort of right, but it wasn't as simple as he said. 1 out of 20 plus 1 out of 20 is 2 out of 20, which is 1 out of 10. That is not how it works. You actually have 10 different possibilities based on getting a 20. So, 1 through 19, 19 possibilities, because you can get a 1 to a 19 on one of the die and then a 20 on the other, or you can get a 1 out of 19 on the next die and a 20 on the previous one. So that's 38 possibilities, plus the possibility of getting a 20 on both. So it's 39 out of 400, which is 0.0975. With trust in the mathematics, I did go ahead and use some of my own amazing mathematical prowess and calculated the expected value of rolling a D20 with advantage and basing their charts what that would be an equivalent modifier to, because depending on your level, advantage gives you anywhere from a +0 to a +5, and it ends up having an expected value of positive 3.6175 with advantage. So in other words, rolling with advantage is like adding +4 if you round it to your die in general. So if you which is funny because I believe I made this comment before, even though I know we've talked about it before, that in third edition, +4 seemed to be a great bonus that would pretty much guarantee victory, and advantage pretty much guarantees success in 5e. And it's because it's pretty much a +4. I think it's more fun than a +4. For me personally, I'd rather roll multiple dice. I think it's fun. And it's kind of exciting to see what you can roll. And disadvantage also gives you roughly a -4 to your attack roll, which means, or whatever you're making. So you're likely going to fail too. So, but you can get into the nitty gritty if you're interested in that site. I just had to check it out because I was thrown off by his random 10%. And I knew his 1/20th plus 1/20th was not how you calculated it. It just I'll just call it mathematically coincidence happens to be close to the answer. The actual percentage is 9.75, which we might as well call 10. So I'm going to give Phil props for getting the percentage mostly right, but his mathematics was incorrect. So had it been a test, he would have got 1 out of 5 points at Mr. Nichols' class.
Well, he is a nurse.
Huh?
He is a nurse.
You got to calculate fractions, though. That's all right, though. I don't blame him because it's not easy.
It's a good the math skills that a nurse is supposed to know are good to have as far as like calculating drip rate and whatnot with your with IVs and medications and whatnot. But there's so many devices now that kind of do it for you.
Oh, sure, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to sneak that in there because it just kind of bugged me. And I looked it up at first, and I was thinking about it, and I went to the site, and he goes, oh, but then I said, whoa, he's about right. And then I said, wait a minute, and I did the calculation myself. I was like, oh, that's more complicated than I knew. I said 120 plus 120 made no sense. I was like, that cannot be the case.
Well, sometimes you can look at a situation like here what we're talking about, and kind of swag a good answer.
Yeah,
It may not be technically correct in all
right.
in all cases or from all points of view, but it's close.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes your intuition is good. And
yeah,
that may have been what Phil did,
yeah,
but that calculation is not a good default calculation
right,
in the field of probability. You don't want to do that because remember, I've kind of mentioned, then I shut up. You talk about independent and dependent events. I'm already getting way too boring. So
right.
let's move on to something
Well,
more.
I did want to mention there's another usefulness to advantage, disadvantage over just the raw number,
What's
and
that?
that's keeping the numbers low.
Yeah, because you wouldn't tack a +4 into something.
Right. So if they're trying to keep the numbers within a certain range,
Right.
because you could just say, well, just give them a +4. What's the big deal? Rolling
Well, yeah,
two
I mean,
dice. You also, what is do you don't you technically have an increased chance? Well, maybe not of failure on some respect, because you can
yeah,
roll you can roll 2 1s, but that's really difficult
yeah,
probably.
that's going to
It's
be
a high
up
chance.
400. Yeah, but I mean, the problem is disadvantage and advantage are just opposite sides of the same coin. Though they talk about, if you look at that article close, they talk about the situations where if you have disadvantage, you might as well not even bother, because there are some. If you have a certain target number, disadvantage is way disadvantageous, and so is an advantage too. Can be the same way where it's just automatic, probability wise. But the reason I did this is I just knew the calculation had to be a little bit different. But I took the time to actually use that guy's charts and calculate the expected values. So,
Right.
assuming he's
So
right, I'm giving him the credit that he's right on his
yeah.
probabilities. This guy that
One of the things about fifth edition is the idea that they want the numbers low for their whatever, they have reasons for that. Um, you know, armor class for monsters is supposed to be no higher than 31, so you can't give a bunch of bonuses to your PCs or they'll outstrip that quickly.
which is heavier handed though, Joe. The 13th age mechanic, the 13th age game has these big chunks of improvement, but they're very predictable
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that if you roll between a 1 and a 5, you usually miss.
Right.
You usually fail what you're doing. If you roll higher than 13, 14, you usually succeed. In between's kind of a maybe. No matter what level you are, if you build challenges that are quote unquote appropriate,
Right.
then that's how that plays. In fact, if you get too inappropriate, it doesn't play like that at all. I mean, you get to where you can't do anything and you get slaughtered.
Or it's too easy.
Or it's too easy, right? You fight something like if you're fourth level and you fight a first level goblin, you can breathe on it and kill it literally, and it has no chance to hit you, or very little. And if you're third level and you end up fighting a great red worm, you're going to get, even if you hit him, it's not going to matter because he's going to obliterate you with his attack. He's not, because the damages jump so dramatically every level. Big changes.
Yeah.
And that feels like a type of boundedness too. I sometimes think you have less wiggle room in 13th age than you do in 5e. Because at least in 5e, you can swing a little bit with things like tools, proficiency, if you use the expertise alternate rules. This is not I'm talking about expertise alternate rules. Tools, proficiency, magic items, bonuses from spells or whatever else you have. You can do that. It's rarer that the bonuses I've seen in 13th age make that much of a radical difference. It still makes the game pretty predictable, I think. Right. I feel like 13th age is more predictable than 5e.
Right. And I think predictability is, well, I think 5th edition is pretty predictable.
Moderately so, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 13th age is very predictable. And the whole idea of counter building is around predictability. It's around expected, and this might even be a topic we can get into in a different podcast,
Yeah.
But expectedness, I think, is a big factor in modern games.
Yeah. Yeah. Even
Predictability.
predictability and encounter fairness.
And one of our friends that games with us, uh, we were talking about a subject like this, and he said, trying to remember how he put it precisely, but essentially we were talking about random encounters, and he said, "Well, we can't do that in this game, 13th Age, because you only get so many uses of your abilities, and you don't want to use it for an encounter that doesn't matter, which a random encounter could be called an encounter that doesn't matter.
Yes.
It doesn't matter to the story. I want to use all my stuff in the story." I'm like, I get that kind of, but to me that kind of
makes it stale.
Makes it stale and boring.
Yes, it does. And I heard that even in third edition. People would poo-poo online. Oh my God, you roll a random encounter table. That'll just throw off the whole day. They'll have to rest.
Right.
You're 5th level and I randomly roll up here. Your wizard's using his fireball. He is absolutely using his fireball against a CR 9 or 10. It's not going to, I'm going to throw a magic
if you don't run.
If you don't run, would you want 4 or 5 5th level dudes could handle him? It'd be a hell of a fight.
Sure.
But I mean, you could kill him and you would bring your big guns out and then you have to go sleep.
Right.
And they're like, oh, it just hurts the what is it, what do they call 15-minute work day? And that's why I'm telling you, dude, I'm feeling some old school, son.
Yeah.
Feeling it.
A lot of this, if someone brings up 15-minute work day, I'm like, how can you even think that way? I've used my most powerful thing. Now I must go back to town and rest.
Yeah.
Before I can go
in the game, dude. It's game in the game. And even that comment about 13th Age is game in the game.
It's
going to get hard. Don't forget, you got in 13th Age, you get something called the escalation die. So you're eventually going to get that bonus. You may not go to your big gun, but yeah, I know what you're talking about it.
Yeah.
I think I know who said it. And to me, I don't like.
It's a different play style. I'm not saying it's invalid. It's just not. It's getting to be more and more not my play style.
Yeah, me too.
Predictability is, I don't think what's something that I want. Not that much of. I mean, I want the game physics to work like real world physics. I don't want to have to worry about every step. I might have to fall off the world and not, right. Nothing like that. Right. But too much. Well, I have X amount of powers. The DM is going to have 4 encounters that are going to somewhat challenge me, maybe, but I'm pretty safe. So
yeah, I mean, I always use this quote, but from Lord of the Rings, the movie, when Bilbo talks to Frodo, Mr. Frodo, when you step outside your door, who knows where it's going to take you? Who knows what you're going to face? It's not going to be a CR between 2 and 3 because you're 3rd level.
Right.
Yeah, and that's something that I think that's a thing where I think you can marry some good ideas like the flea mechanic. I think that's why I'm so fond of it, because I want to be able to go, look, okay, we guys go in this cave. They kept talking, go in this forest, and they've talked a lot about this ancient werewolf that's unbelievably powerful. We're only 2nd level. Yeah, you are, but you have to go to this forest, and then you meet him, or you see him, and he's the size of a Clydesdale, and he's massive. And holy crap, we don't have a silver weapon or a magic weapon amongst us. We will get slaughtered. So we're going to flee and hide. And I'll say, okay. But the idea is just to let your characters know everything is not challenge rating appropriate. But yeah, I think that's a discussion. We're getting off into a different discussion.
Yeah. We should note that down for a subsequent discussion.
Yeah. CR and challenge rating and
predictability.
Appropriate encounters, predictability. Yeah, that is definitely a topic. Hey, that might be a good one to have Glenn here.
Sure.
Good old Glenn House, and we need to invite him and Eric both sometime. Okay, so our topic today, and I wrestled a little bit with it, then I just loosened up on it and it kind of came out here. I want to talk about PC progression. And I've titled as 0 to Hero, or not. And so as I look at it, I found one definition online for 0 to Hero, and it was fine. It was at the, who is the website? Gnome Stew. A game system A game system in which PCs begin as a very low powered, such that even the smallest of threats are a challenge, and methodically build up until they are almost godlike in power. Most class level systems are zero to hero systems. I'm going to leave that as a loosey goosey maybe.
Yeah.
And then I added some more because I don't think zero to hero is the only type of system you can run into. I
Well,
think
and plus, I don't think godlike is really.
agreed. I'm 100. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
No.
absolutely agree with that. I think that definition is the only one I found, and it's not the greatest. I would say become
Right.
powerful.
Yeah.
Then I think there's systems that are hero to superhero, and this is my definition: start out capable, then rise to super awesome, maybe godlike, and then static, where you have none or a very mild increase,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have an other, something else, no advancement, or maybe a one shot. So in the notes, I put mine where I created these because I couldn't find a really great definition. So I was going to ask you, what do you think of the definition? Starting with zero to hero, looks like you and I are on the same page. I don't think godlike is right. I think just zero to a powerful character.
Right.
A
Right.
pretty cool hero is right. Um, I listed these as, and go ahead. So what do you think of that? Is there anything else you would modify that zero to hero definition on?
Yeah. Like you said, I would take out godlike.
Mhm.
When I think of zero to hero, I think of um, so Lord of the Rings is a good, in my opinion, a good um, measuring stick.
Yes.
So uh, I know I've said in the past that one shouldn't rely heavily on Tolkien tropes for their game world, but in this
Right.
case, it's for measuring stick purposes. So
Yeah.
um, Frodo
Yep.
at the beginning of the story, and all the hobbits really,
Yep.
were zeros.
Yes.
Um, the other companions were clearly not, especially
Correct.
Gandalf.
Oh no, they were probably already heroes. Pretty close.
Gandalf, you have to take off the table in this measuring
Yes.
because he is by canon kind of like an angel in
Yeah.
power, and
He's kind of a he's kind of a plot device, isn't he?
he's more a plot device than a character in a lot of
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
Um, Aragorn, I would say, was already hero level, um, but certainly by the end of the trilogy, you would say that was hero. I don't know if necessarily the hobbits got to hero, but within their realm, sure they sure did.
Okay.
They were literally heads and shoulders above the other hobbits.
Well, I think the Hobbit movie's even better, where Bilbo goes from like I'm comfy at home in my little Hobbit hole, and I'm going on an adventure, and then he gets actually skilled.
Right,
Near the
right,
end, keep saving the stupid dwarves.
right.
So that's pretty. Yeah, I agree. I think that's more of a zero to hero. I think. Do you think what I listed? I listed some games, and this is, I've got a few other questions down there, but under my categorization, I may not be right here. I thought zero, OD&D, first edition, and to a lesser extent, second edition were definitely zero to hero games. DCC, Warhammer, and Hackmaster are probably zero to hero, but I don't know about the high end of the game. I know that DCC you can get pretty tough, but I think the dangerousness of the world, it's you you slowly climb that pole to become a hero. I don't know if you become godlike in any of those games. Maybe second, and you'll have to talk more about Hackmaster. I don't know.
Well, it's only from reading. I haven't really played it. I don't think you really get. I think it's pretty here. Well, no, in their own words, when
Mm-hmm.
you read, I think it's in there one of either the introduction in the book or prologue or something like that.
Yeah.
They say we are not like the hero to superhero games. We are the zero to hero, and
Yeah.
then hero to superhero.
Yeah.
That's how they describe it.
Oh, okay.
But when you look at modifiers, uh, they're lower than a lot of other games.
Yes.
Like
But
a 20th level fighter at most has a plus 10 to hit, whereas in say D&D, especially third edition, the other earlier editions, it scales a lot. But in third edition, a 20th level fighter had plus 20 to hit, no other modifiers counting.
Probably plus 40, but yeah.
Yeah, so
I mean, you're right.
just from the class,
BAD, right? But I'm saying he was going to be a lot higher than that.
Right. Well, in Warhammer, I don't see you from all the bonuses I've seen. Well,
did you start as a rat catcher?
No, but you're not that tough.
Zero.
You get
no, you're right. You're right. You're 0.
Yeah.
You are definitely 0 to hero in Warhammer.
Oh yeah.
Because you don't get a lot of armor protects you. You don't really get hit points. If I'm remembering correctly, I have the second edition of the book.
But, yeah, I don't remember a lot of the details, but the early occupation, one of them is rat catcher, and none of them were much more glamorous than that, really.
Yeah.
To start off with, but in Hackmaster, no character class even gets a +1 to hit from their class at first level. You're +0. Everything else comes from stats, and your bonuses don't go that high, as far as I can tell.
No, in original D&D, because I was telling Joe before we started today, I just finished reading Swords and Wizardry White Box, which, by the way, I really like. I think I'm running that instead of OD&D White Box because it actually makes more sense in terms of explanation. But you don't become a superhero. And I remember a couple episodes ago, I talked about Tim Kask, and he made a comment. He goes, when I was mentioning about levels, he thought 7th, 8th, 9th level, why would you want to play beyond that? I think, and when you look at the white box, you can advance more if you want to, but they don't really seem to encourage much beyond 9th or 10th level. And you're already called a superhero in their terms. And when you look at when you see this at CabinCon, you're not going to feel like a superhero, even at 8th or 9th level. If I make you guys 8th level, you're pretty tough, but you're like, I don't look tough, And so, but
and I think that's why most of these the OSR games, especially when it hits 9th, 10th, 11th, sometimes 12th, it just says this many experience points plus, and you get a higher level, but it doesn't detail anything beyond that, really. You might get a hit point or two depending on what class you are. So little regard for much above the double digits.
Yeah, I think a lot of OSR definitely prefers 0 to hero. I thought the Swords and Wizardry White Box, you might find this fascinating. They have stats for fighters and everybody else up to 10th, but wizards to 16th.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and they're pretty good. I mean, I think even though it's Vancian and we could do whatever, you still would like the power level. The wizards are pretty good in that game.
Do they have higher than 6th level spells in it?
Nope. The highest they go at 6th or 7th level. I forgot it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a different scaling. I don't even think you get hit dice though after 10 as a wizard. So from 11 to 16, you're not getting any more hit points.
That's interesting because a lot of other versions of D&D, the hit dice stop at 11.
Mm-hmm.
And you get 1 hit point afterwards. So
something like that. I'm not sure. I got to read it. But so I think that's. I mean, would you agree then? I mean, as far as now, see again, someone could call in and say Hackmaster, no, Warhammer, no. They know better than us. But you know why I put a lesser extent to 2E? You know why I said that?
Not really.
Because they have all those crazy fighter handbook, wizard handbooks, and if you do spells and powers and skills and options, dude, you remember that stupid katana wielding rogue you had?
Oh yeah,
killed that ogre in one hit because you build him off skills and powers. I think the game became a lot more super duper hero to hero, superhero kind of game. But I think maybe 1E and 2E do have to. Maybe like 0 to 10 is kind of 0 to hero, and then after 10th you become toward the superhero.
Probably.
So, I mean, I would say it's close to that. I put in the hero to superhero category, start out as capable and then rise to super awesome godlike power. I do want to qualify a little bit. I have 3.x, any 3rd edition, Pathfinder, 4E for sure, 5E, except levels 1 to 2, maybe 3. Man, 1 to 2, you suck in 5E. They are like fragile. And you notice I've never really started a game with 1st or 2nd level. I did it once, but you've never played with one, I don't think.
No.
And that's because you would be so disappointed. And even games like Vampire and 13th Age, you definitely start out as boss. You're a hero walking out the door. Vampire, you're a freaking vampire. There's stuff you can do that's amazing. I mean, most people can't hold a candle to you. You are clearly head and shoulders above common folk.
Right. And I don't know, I haven't played Vampire much, a little bit. Not any good experiences, really.
About 10 sessions, me. 15.
Yeah. And if you played it, and I won't say like D&D, but if you played it like, okay, you're a group of brand new vampire spawn. I think that's the way it normally plays out.
Mm-hmm.
And you're drawn together for some reason.
Right.
You're in this gothic pub at night, and everybody's got their black fingernail polish on and stuff like that, and
looking
everybody's all gothy.
Goth and
then the storyteller says, "What do you do?"
Right.
That's that you don't want the storyteller to tell me what do you want to do?
Kill yourself?
No. I'll say I'm going to find me a normal person. I'm going to enslave them. They're going to be my butt lick, and find 2 or 3 of them, give them their instructions, and build an empire from there.
Well, you're playing the game right then.
I will absolutely not care about the other vampires.
No, well, until they force you to.
Yeah.
Because at some point, the prince of the city is not going to let you do whatever you want.
Right. And then I will have trained my human scrubs in what they need to do to destroy him.
That'll be if you got a skilled game master, that'll be a harder task, but that's cool. It'd
be fun. I'd rather do that.
I'm not a vampire guy, but dude, you could play it.
Yeah. I'd rather do that than just play along with the angsty, oh, I'm a vampire and I have to hate myself and blah 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 blah.
I think, to be fair, it's funny. When I was teaching high school 20 plus years ago in Indiana, had a student, they found out I played D&D, and of course they were role players too, and they got chatting. One of them was like, I hate D&D. It's a bunch of munchkins and blah, blah, blah. He goes, I play vampire. And then he proceeds to tell me how powerful this guy is. He threw so strong you throw a car across the street, and just tell me all these cool, super fighty powers he had. And I'm like, I forgot his name, but I was like, dude, that sounds pretty super. You sound pretty like butt kickery guy going out on adventures, being better than everybody. That doesn't sound like someone that's into storytelling.
Right.
So,
yes.
And I think a lot of vampire people back then, I think they purported to be one thing, but the game, and I'm not knocking it, just admit what it is. I mean, it is a power fantasy too. I don't see how it's not more of a power fantasy than even a D&D character. Because out the gate, you're a vampire, dude.
Right. See, I think I would have an attitude kind of like Blade.
Mm-hmm.
In the first, especially the first Blade movie.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah. So 3.X, Pathfinder 4, would you agree with those as being hero to superhero?
Probably, yeah. I mean, it's hard once you get into the upper end of the game to not think of it that way.
Yeah.
When you have the high level spells, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
think about Butch at 13th level when he was 11th level. Minus his Vorpal back in Pathfinder.
He
was a superhero. He was ridiculous.
Oh, well, okay. There's also, if you're talking about the Pathfinder version of Butch, he had probably at least three times the amount of gold value in magic items because of the way things shook out in our games. And yeah, it showed.
Dude, so did some of my guys. I mean, Warlock, he had a lot of crap.
There's always a weird problem that sets out, though. Your character has a lot of power, but if you take him against challenges too high out of his level range, it'll seem like he'll be okay, but then there will be a lot of spell-like abilities and powers that he won't be able to handle.
Yeah, fighters and stuff characters that are susceptible to magic spells will find DCs being kind of outrageous against certain monsters. If they're 7 or 8 CRs above you, and their damage will get you over time. Like, oh, it's only 40 damage. Yeah, but he hits 5 times. And what if he crits? Granted, Butch had 100 and whatever hit points, but he's attacking you. He's attacking you 4 times around with the lowest plus being 23.
Yeah.
You're not going to get missed. I'm going to hit
Butch goes down.
Yeah, so it's 200 points a round. You're dead.
Yeah.
But can't stand toe to toe to that. Now, if there's 4 other fighters, you got a shot because you probably can hit him, but just hope he doesn't crit a couple times.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's interesting. Now, then there's the third category. It's okay if I move on because I kind of want to ask questions in general. And this is what I called static. And static's not truly set in stone. I said none or mild increase. So some advancement, but still remain close to what I call the mean. When I say the mean, I mean just like not too far from where where most characters are at. Let's say the beginning. So Marvel Superheroes phase rip. It's been too long since I played that system. I don't recall advancement. You got karma, but I'm not sure what you could do with it.
I can't remember.
Could you buy new powers? And even if you could, that doesn't make any sense. I've never liked superhero games where you actually advance because it just seems weird.
If you're okay, I get that. When you look at comic book heroes, it doesn't seem like they get more powerful necessarily, but then again, it depends on what you're talking about. Superman, when he first came out, could leap tall buildings and stuff like that, but could he fly?
No, but you're also talking about.
Did he have X-ray vision all the time, or he might have? But
I think so.
Could he shoot heat rays out of his eyes the whole time?
And cold breath and all that stuff.
All that stuff.
You make a good point, but a lot of that is re-envisioning of the character.
Correct.
Ages, Golden Age, Silver Age, Modern.
But, Spider-Man is a good example of what you're talking about. Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. He's X strong, which is really dang strong.
Oh yeah. And, he's super strong. He's not like
super strong. He
lift cars and throw them.
Right. Did I see one where he picked up a school bus sized bus?
Maybe.
Anyway, his biggest superpower was his agility, and he could do all kinds of crazy stuff with his agility.
Now, to counter my own argument, though, Iron Man, Stark's always inventing new little things for his. But I mean, Doctor Strange, he starts out as unstoppable and still.
He kind of did progress because he wasn't. I can't remember precisely when he became the Sorcerer Supreme.
Right.
For Earth.
Right.
But he didn't start out that way.
Okay. I mean, maybe
But I don't think it took him that long.
I also think the progression, the advancement is definitely not huge. I think it's minuscule. Right. I wouldn't describe any of that as, that's not superhero to godlike superhero. Right. There are transformations that happen to heroes. But yeah, and mutants and masterminds, do you level up in that game?
Yes. Okay. Jean Grey.
Yep. So yeah, you're finding a lot of counters. Colossus, Cyclops, Batman, Robin. They don't change.
They don't.
So I mean, there's a lot. And
I think it's just the exceptions is what I'm bringing up.
Right, and the
most of them are pretty static.
Exception, yeah, and I think that's a Supers game should fit that pretty well. I think in Savage Worlds, I'm trying to remember, you guys when we played Necessary Evil, your second set of characters when you finally figured out you had to, that was when I figured out, holy crap, this is challenging when I killed you all this second or third session. You rebuilt them to combat monsters. You guys got better. Did you get crazy better?
I think your abilities like night and day.
It did, but I mean, I guess it was okay. But a Supers game like that is kind of odd to play like that. I just think, but Savage Worlds in general, I don't think you see massive changes as you level up.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I really don't know. It's been how many years since we did that? And I don't remember the details of why there was such a change. I don't know if we made the first characters or if they were pre-gens.
We started novice.
Were they pre-gens?
No, you made them. And then you got killed because the whole group got killed. And he goes, we're going to make better characters. You figured out how to do it. And you started novice and we ended at heroic. You barely got to the heroic tier. Mm-hmm. That's the only Savage Worlds game I've gotten out of seasoned.
Right.
So maybe I shouldn't make a comment on that. I don't feel like Super Savage Worlds characters are zeros. So they're not zero to hero.
No.
I think they could be hero, but I don't know if they become superhero in every genre.
It really depends on what
Rift's
add-on you
crazy
use.
powerful.
Oh,
Savage
yeah.
Rifts, you're awesome.
Right.
Call of Cthulhu, static. I've never played it, but I don't know why you would change much. You don't get powers.
Yeah, you got me on that one.
Yeah, and Fate.
I've never played Call of Cthulhu of any from any version of it.
And I can't. And some of these I'm speaking more with a question mark at the end because I'm not sure. Fate especially, but from what I've read online, because I don't like Fate at all. I don't hold my disdain for it out. They advance through milestones, and those milestones are reached through a character's narrative arc. And from what I've read, one character can complete a narrative arc and then make a change to something like his descriptors. Fate uses descriptors for your abilities, like very angry when I get drunk, or I'm a sleuth. I'm a sleuth that has trouble saying no to a woman in distress. And so what happens once you complete these arcs, you can make adjustments to that. You can get little tiny bonuses to your abilities. I think for the most part, though, a game like that's super narrative, they don't care about advancing your character to become tougher. Because isn't that what advancement's about, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, narratively advancing your character is one thing. Like in stories, a character it's more a development, not advancement. So in character development in stories, more things come about. The character changes, maybe their point of view changes. They have a moral quandary at some point that they have to overcome.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And in a narrative game, I can see that being more of a character development issue rather than a character advancement.
Yeah, because I do see, the title of the episode today is PC progression, zero to hero or not. So zero to hero, hero to superhero, static, which I think those are close to being static. I would imagine, and I don't remember this, but like games like what was it, James Bond or Top Secret? I guess you would
spy games.
Huh? Yeah, spy games. I guess you advance, but I don't know what you do to be. I guess maybe your shooting gets better. I don't know. In Savage Worlds, you can go from D6 to a D8 to a D12. I mean, you could be pretty. I guess there's some, but it feels very mild to me from what I've played. I'm sure folks of Savage Worlds would disagree maybe. Then there's the last category, which I just called other. Something else, no advancement or one shot. So I listed games like Lady Blackbird, Alice is Missing, and Dread. These are usually games you play just one time.
Right.
Alice is Missing is a relatively new game I've heard about on a couple of podcasts where you play via text. A girl named Alice in your group has gone missing, and you're like a teenager group, and you got to find out what happened to her, and you play the whole game via text. So it's definitely a millennial game. I'm not interested in it, but you play it once essentially. That's kind of all you can do. It's a one-time play. Almost.
That's kind of like when we played remember in high school, what did we call it? Where we had the little plunger guns. We ran around. Murder? We didn't call it murder.
Assassin or something. Yeah, that's actually a famous game. It's been around for a while.
Yeah, I mean it's I don't know.
It's a one, but you play via text. I mean, I don't care whether you like it or not. We have played Dread. Dread is where you tell a horror story.
That's
you got
fun.
A Jenga tower. That's fun. Our buddy Josh ran us through one of those. And Monster
We've done it twice.
Huh?
We've done it twice.
What was the other one?
I thought we did it.
I ran one. Did you play in that one at Philip's house?
No. But I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm remembering it correctly, but I'm pretty sure Josh has run a Jenga Dread horror thing twice.
I ran it once years ago at Philip's house, and my daughter played, and she left. And we were playing ourselves because I started the story as, "Oh, you gathered at Philip's house on Halloween to play."
Oh, yeah.
And it was kind of a Friday the 13th. There was some mystical element to it, but my daughter left my wife alone, just took off and left her. I mean, her character, which was herself, left her, and Debbie's like, "Madison." I was the first one dead. That's how I started. Randy gets up to go get a drink, and he doesn't come back. It's been 10 minutes. It's been 15 minutes. Did you fall? Did you go to the bathroom? Blah blah blah. They're making fun, and then they go check it out, and they find bloody footsteps, and nobody. And so it begins downhill path. But I mean, and we're doing the Jenga thing. It was pretty fun. We enjoyed it. It wasn't fabulous, but I think I could have run it a little better, but it was still fun. But games like that, you don't really advance. Now, I put Monster Hearts, but I think I kind of put that down there just to get a rise out of Joe because I know he loves that game. He really wants to play Monster Hearts.
A lot of these games I make fun of having heard people describe them. The whole premise of Monster Hearts, that's where you play monsters in high school, which that just kind of turns me off.
You have sex moves. You have sex moves in that game.
Yeah, so that turns me off. It sounds dumb from the start. So I've never played it, so I can't say whether it's a good game per se or not.
But I don't think there's much advancement.
Yeah, its premise sounds stupid.
Yeah. And, one-shot games. We're like, hey, we're going to play 9th level characters as adventure. Your goal is to kill Strahd von Zarevic tonight.
Right.
Yeah, so those sort of games. And I think they can be all right. But I tried to place the Cypher system. Numenera, because we've looked at it. We played a little bit of The Strange, etc. Where would you place that system?
It's probably anywhere Savage Worlds would go. If you start out pretty good, you do get advancements. I don't know if you go from hero to superhero, you might just stay super the whole time.
Okay.
I ran a Cypher game for a year, and I'm trying to remember where they advanced to. I don't think they got to level 6, because I think level 6 is 6 or 7 is their high end, I think. Or is it? Am I remembering that incorrectly? I can't remember. But they did advance a few levels. And they got some interesting powers. But I don't think it felt like even a hero to superhero. It's felt a little more even. So it's more like Savage Worlds in that vein.
Just moving away from the mean slightly.
Just slightly. I mean, it's not that dramatic.
I would probably put it in the static one too, but
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, to be fair, we've not played it enough, so
it's just not. It's not that different from one end of the game to the other. It's not a big difference. Not like Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons where you go 1 to 20.
Right.
There's a pretty significant difference.
Yeah. First level Pathfinder versus 20th level Pathfinder is night and day.
Or D&D. For any edition, D&D. Yeah. The difference between first level and 20th level is dramatic. It's not that dramatic in Cypher.
Now, here's what's fascinating. I remember near the end of my campaign in 5e that I ran with Philip and Amy and Trent, my wife. They were near 10th level, and I just made a side comment. They did some adventure, and there was a powerful it was a lost island that Rary, the trader from Greyhawk, had left. Abandoned, and they got to go there and get some treasure and do some cool stuff. Anyway, I said, well, he might show up. I said, it would suck if he showed up. Just joking. And Philip goes, it might suck for him. And I'm like, what? I'm thinking, Rary? He's like 20th level Archmage. But then I started looking at a 20th level 5th edition character. And this is not to say he's weenie, but the game, you don't tend to do well in 5e if you're fighting a bunch of foes by yourself. In fact, weak foes can make life pretty miserable, even for a pretty tough guy. And I was thinking 4 10th level dudes against a single 20th level guy in 5e may not be the cakewalk we're thinking about. Now, granted, for Rary, it would be, because he wouldn't just roll up and say, hey, let's roll initiative.
No.
He'd come in.
If Rary and the party turned a corner, the same corner, opposite side ends in the dungeon, in a hallway, right? It may not go all that great for Rary. He might have to run,
right?
But
when he comes back in a few minutes, it's going to be ugly, and over quick, because he's going to summon something. He's going to have some allies, and then he's going to unload with some high level spells. Meteor swarm, game over. No one can survive that. Yes. Let me just start with this. Oh, well, I seem to have ended with that too. Yeah. Whoever's left, I will charm you because all of your will saving throws are going to be low. You'll be charmed. Mine are 20 or higher, and you're screwed. So yeah, so in that would be the case. But even in like in Pathfinder though, if well maybe it would be true. Well if we had just say not like not Elysium characters, but 4 10th level characters turn the corner on a 20th level Archmage Pathfinderized,
Dead.
he's probably dead. He can't get away.
No, the party's dead.
Yeah, I think so. You think he'd have to
if he lets them run, they'll get away. But a 20th level time stop.
Would he have to run?
Who?
He have to run.
Oh no.
You sure?
Well, probably depends on the initiative. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I suppose if they turn, because they're right in his face, he's not going to have that many hit points.
Now, if he's a 20th level diviner, he may not have to run.
Right.
He's going to have like plus 28 to his initiative.
Right.
So he's going to go first.
He's going to go first. He's going to cast time stop.
And he's going to win.
And he's going to win.
But generally, but then he'd be the same. And so maybe there's not that much difference. I was thinking there's maybe a difference. Maybe not.
Yeah, it's in the setup. If a mid-level party can take out a high-level individual wizard, depending on circumstances.
Right. What about a fighter? Probably. A fighter would probably be in trouble, a solo fighter. Yeah.
Maybe. He's going to have a lot of hit points.
Yeah,
he's going to be able to lay down some serious. I'm not talking about 5th edition. No,
we're talking Pathfinder.
Pathfinder, all the hits he's going to be able to get and likely succeed.
And he's not going to miss. Whereas they will miss probably most of the time. Yeah. So good point. So what do you think? This statement is in the definition of 0 to hero. It says most class and level systems are 0 to hero. I don't think that's true.
I think you're going to have to set it case by case on that. Early.
Well, their definition is farmer to godlike, so maybe they're right.
Correct. So if you take especially the D&D editions that go to 20th level and have high level spells for the wizard, because and especially earlier editions of D&D where you had automatic scaling and no cap like 2nd edition, the punks they were.
You love that, Joe.
Yeah. Right. So 11 die magic missile will kill a lot of low level creatures.
Yes.
And with no hope, they have no hope.
Correct.
It's going to hit them. They're going to take it, and they're going to not like it. Yeah. He will be able to do that a lot.
Yeah. He's going to do 33 damage average. Yeah, that's going to suck.
Right. In early editions, 33 damage is a lot of hit points.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of hit points. There'd be a lot of 5th and 6th level characters would be down after that.
Mm-hmm. So
they're not down, but hurt.
So that will, and that's only a 1st level spell. So the high level spells, as long as you got 1 to 20 and 9th level spells, I can see you describing that as going to godlike.
Yeah. So that's probably not a horrible. I thought it was a little more questionable statement, but it's probably right. Yeah. Most level-based systems probably. I mean, what other level-based systems are there besides D&D types and clones?
Well, a lot of the clones don't go to 20th level with 9th level spells. So a lot of OSR, they stop realistic advancement around 10th. You usually don't have higher than 5th level spells, and they're not nearly as devastating. I mean, they're for the game that they are, Fireball is pretty good.
But a mage with Charm Monster, Wall of Force, Wall of Fire, Teleport, he's a hero. Yeah. Is he a superhero? Maybe. He could seem like one to some commoners.
Right.
He's a low. He's a Robin. He's not Superman.
No, because his frequency of using those powers is very low. He's only going to get 1 or 2 of those kind of powers in a 24-hour period. So
and Robin beats up a couple of bank robbers, and people watching, they go, "Man, he is like a super ninja." And then Lady Shiva shows up, kicks Robin's teeth in.
Right.
or Bane does, and is like, you better run.
Right.
So yeah, that's interesting. Um, what do you? And we played some of all these. If our categories are right, and people I hope call in and debate us, I would love to know their opinions on our definitions. Uh, we have played D&D, Warhammer, DCC. You haven't played DCC. You haven't played Hackmaster. Played all the versions of D&D, 13th Age, Vampire, Savage Worlds, Marvel Superheroes, Dread. So we've played something in every one of those categories. Tons of one shots. What do you think the allure? If you could step outside your preferences, because I'm going to get to your preferences in a minute. If someone really likes Zero to Hero, what is the allure of that type of play? What is the allure of hero to superhero? What do you think the allure of the Zero to Hero is? Could I sell you onto a Zero to Hero game? To where you go, oh, yeah, I'd like to play. That sounds kind of cool.
Well, I'm not sure I don't know if I could describe what the allure is to that, except gratifying your imagination on what you yourself what you would imagine being able to do these things in real life would be like.
Right.
So
what if all of a sudden Randy and Joe could access spells, and Randy could become a paladin?
Right.
Right now, first level. Let's go. Yeah, that's what it would feel like.
So I think that there's some sort of gratification that it's playing off of. That's the enjoyment. Your imagination. You're imagining this character, and you're not necessarily imagining you doing it, maybe, but it's hard not to be you being the point of view in your imagination.
Yeah.
When you're imagining your character doing these things, you're probably not imagining them in third person.
No,
probably first person.
But I think Zero to Hero is the one type where you're like, you could almost see yourself starting there. I could beat Frodo. I could beat Frodo's butt. I could kick his face in.
Right.
When he walks out the door. I believe as Randy Nichols, I could beat Frodo up.
Sure.
If it was a fight, I could beat his up. So I'm as good as Frodo. I couldn't beat Aragorn or Legolas or Gimli, none of those guys. But Frodo, I'd kick his teeth in.
Right.
Now, having said that, that's kind of, I could see myself there. What about this? I think another allure to me is the danger. Zero to Hero has danger written all over it.
Yeah.
And I think right from the beginning, like, man, first to third level, I'm not sure if this dude's making it. This could be tough.
Right.
I only rolled 15 hit points and I'm third level. Crap. That's 2 sword slings and I'm down. What about hero to superhero? So a game like this is right up your alley, really, a Pathfinder style game or 13th Age style game. What's the draw to that when you play those? What do you think makes that kind of...
I think it's a similar thing. You're drawn to gratification of you being able to do things that are awesome.
So if folks, okay, so you don't think, I think there's a little bit, I think it's a little bit different. I think you don't have to wait. See, in Zero to Hero, you have to like I bet there's people that don't like,
sure.
Right? There's a difference there, right? People that would, so I guess maybe I'm not phrasing my question right. Why would a person be drawn to playing 3X Pathfinder 13th Age style characters rather than D&D 0E? So a hero to superhero, I think because 13th Age, especially, to me being the perfect example, you start out, you're already pretty good. I would not want to fight any of the first level 13th Age characters.
Right.
They're all better than me.
Right.
Well, even the wizard.
Right. When you're talking about this instead of that, I know there are people who don't want to play probably Zero to Hero because they don't want weak.
Right. They don't be weak. Yeah.
But I'm fine with either. Right. I can play Zero to Hero because I know you're going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I can play, depending on the system, I can play superheroes. I can play characters that start out good and just get a little bit better. Depends, especially if it's a one shot. So I'm not sure what makes a person's what they're drawn to exclusive. To say, I'm not only going to play Zero to Hero. I don't want to play hero to superhero or any of these other things. I like Zero to Hero, and that's it.
Right. Which apparently some of the OSR folks are kind of like that.
Yeah. I
I'm
don't
not
know.
knocking anybody.
No,
I'm just
no.
yeah.
That's their thing.
Yeah. I guess maybe I'm not. What I'm trying to get at is, do you think? And all we're doing is making guesses here, right, bud?
Yeah.
So I think so the Hero Zero, you kind of get you get that wish fulfillment early. You're tough. You start out tough.
Yeah.
You know, with Static though, you start out competent in most cases. If you're playing a superhero, now we're talking a real superhero, Batman, Superman, or if Savage Worlds, you're probably going to be competent. Not so much in Call of Cthulhu. I mean, it does. I would say in Call of Cthulhu, where it's static and very little gaining, you can start out you can be a pugilist, you could be a ninja. That ain't going to matter against
Yogg-Sothoth.
Yeah, Yogg-Sothoth or Cthulhu. He ain't going to care.
No.
Zap.
Yeah.
You know, or heck, even the minions of who are those like alien dudes that were the Mygo from the other planet, from Venus or whatever.
Oh, I never heard of that one.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just another Cthulhu thing.
Well, and there's also all the fish creatures.
Yeah, Dagon worshippers. Yeah, you can. They're gonna
once a Dagon worshipper gets so far into their metamorphosis into the fish beings.
Yeah.
Once they get to there, you can't handle them as a regular person.
No.
Unless you shoot them with a gun or something. But yeah, So, but you got to get different kinds of games there. So if you got a superhero game where you're not gaining a whole lot, you could say that person isn't interested in the gain. They might be interested in the gratification of playing a superhero. They might also be interested in the story, because there's no gaining. That's not part of the game. The story is part of the game.
I agree.
The same thing with the low end, like Cthulhu. You're playing regular people.
Yep.
And you don't become anything more than regular people unless you read books, and then, well, you don't get to play anymore because your character is no longer a PC.
Because you're crazy and you worship Cthulhu. So okay.
Right. So as long as you're a regular person, you don't really advance a whole lot. But that's not the point of Cthulhu. The point of Cthulhu is kind of like the folks that like horror movies. They like to sit in front of a horror movie and not like me will laugh at them, because a lot of them are, ridiculous. But they will immerse themselves into the horror movie and love the scary part of it.
Right. You get to be safe and be scary. And be scared. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you get to immerse yourself into a Cthulhu environment, and that's fun to you. You don't really care that you're not advancing. You don't really care that you're just regular people. You like to be in danger of becoming insane the whole game.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the challenge. Maybe try to avoid it, or maybe to actually make it happen. Maybe you want to be crazy.
Right. So there's that too, the challenge part. So being able to get through a session of Cthulhu without becoming insane and still succeeding on some level with just a regular person's level of skill. So there's a challenge.
I'm a guy who's a street fighter on the streets of London, bare knuckles champion guy. Joe's a librarian. I'm thinking, man, I hope I go crazy. I'm gonna punch Joe's character right in the nose.
Yeah.
I mean, no, seriously, just for the fun of, I could see it.
Yeah.
In those other games, though, with no advancement, Lady Blackbird, Alice is Missing, I think in Dread, I think the lore there has got to be telling a story.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, right? And it's done. Let's do something else. Now let's tell another cool story. Now let's tell another cool story. Because there's no options for gaining levels there.
No.
And as you look at that, I think we know the answer. I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep pushing, but is there something else you wanted to? I mean, I don't have much more to say on that one.
Well, some of these games you can have something other than story, even though the one shots, because if your one shot is like you had said, is like a 9th level group of dudes going into beat up on Strahd.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is you're playing 9th level characters, which are powerful.
Yeah.
And so you get some gratification there out of the power. So there might be some story in there. There might be some power. It's going to be a mix. But not the advancement, because of obviously you're not going to do that.
Or it could be famous dungeons. Hey, dude, make some 14th level characters. We're about to roll into Tomb of Horrors.
Right.
Prepare to die. And you're like, sweet. My wizard's going to die. I want to see how he dies.
Right.
Remember the green dragon? Remember the green devil's mouse? I ain't falling for that, but I don't know what else is going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, that could be.
I really don't remember the rest of it. Just that.
Honestly, I remember very little.
Mhm.
So yeah. So of course you got to ask. I think we kind of said it, but I'll start with me. You start with you. What style, if there is one, is there one that's your favorite? I know you said what you would play, but is there one that you would say, man, if I had a choice today, this is the type I'd like to play generally. I generally like this style better, this type of progression.
So yeah, for general, I like zero to hero,
Mhm.
but not stopping. at
So you
hero.
like combo A and B, zero to
Yeah,
hero, which is like D&D, the old school first edition.
yeah, 1 to 20
10,
or higher.
10 to
Yeah, yeah,
20,
yeah,
maybe beyond that. Maybe
yeah.
that's where you get the godlike if you want to. Sure. I think in
It's
general,
really hard to have a long-term game like that.
it,
It really is.
it really is. I think I'm with you, dude. I'm feeling, as much as I'm enjoying Savage Worlds in this campaign, at some point we've got to get into a rollicking long-term campaign again. But I tell you, I feel like it's going to be old school, heavily modified. That's what it's
Right.
going to be. But yeah, I'm with you. I enjoy all of these actually, and I love the one shot type games to play like at Cabin Con especially, but almost anywhere. I can even dig the static, especially for superheroes. I prefer static. I wish we wouldn't change. I'd like to just play. I'm just going to play Magneto. I don't want to change. I don't want to gain anything. This is who I am. Let's go do adventures as we do.
Okay, so Magneto.
He was a good guy at one time.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Of course, you don't care if you don't gain anything as Magneto, because Magneto can do almost anything.
Okay. I'll play Magneto. You play Doctor Strange. There you go. Or even better. Where I can almost do anything, you could do anything.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you would have to, if you're the GM, you'd have to pull out like the Beyonder or
yeah.
some such thing like that. I
Yeah.
guess.
The Beyonder that wears metal armor, I would be useless.
Yeah, I think both of us would be against the Beyonder.
Yeah. I guess to you then, so I think it's true. You would say then campaigns with limited advancement, like the static or the other, or ones that end. You even said this before. If they go 1 to 10, like 13 days, something about that just feels less than satisfying. It's just the numbers too low.
No, it's not just the numbers per se. It's I thought I thought that because it was only went to 10, that I might not like that too much.
Right.
But it's not that. It's more, I think the game variety is smaller. The variety in game. The assumption that you're supposed to have X number of appropriately leveled encounters, and that your powers are based the amount of powers that you have and how many times per day or per long rest. I'm really starting to really not like that paradigm.
No, I'm not either.
That you can do in a period. It's all tightly, I don't know, it may be tightly woven together isn't exactly the correct way to put it, but they're too closely related.
Too gaming for me. That's too gaming. That style's
yeah, because you're like, well, I know I'm only going to have X amount of encounters, and I can only use my powers X amount of times, so I know that I'm safe to use this power because I can use it 4 times probably. I can maybe re-roll it. I got a good chance of re-rolling it, so I'm just going to use it every encounter. So in that kind of work in the game, I'm not a huge, I don't really care if people metagame too much.
No,
it's no big deal, really. But this is kind of built in. This kind of what I'm talking about is built into the system, where it's too predictable.
Yeah,
you can really safely figure out how often to use your various resources.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's not that challenging.
Yeah,
I don't think it's not that challenging. Excuse me. It's not that challenging a game to play.
No, I think that's true. I don't think 13 days is challenging. I think in our friends who like it, and the one guy you referenced, we won't name his name, but almost named him anyway, sucker. But anyway, I think he got a good head for the math. He's got to know it's terribly predictable. And basically, I mean, we've had some fights because I throw caution to the wind. It's not that I don't think about balancing, but I tend to go, I want a tough fight. I'm doing double strength as a minimum.
Right.
I won't go over triple strength, but I wouldn't stop at I would do triple strength. I've never done a triple strength fight,
Right.
but I would do it.
Right.
And sometimes I think the game though doesn't. What would happen if we played 13th Age, and I throw you into 2 encounters? You're on this quest, and the first 2 encounters were both triple strength, and you had nothing but your at will powers. I mean, and you're on a time limit.
I mean, I'd run around in circles until escalation 3 or 4 popped up.
Here's the thing. So you're done and you shot through your whole wad. The game's like, well, you can't choose to rest. Though you could argue triple strength would be, by the rules, would be 6 encounters. So you should get a full heal up.
Yeah, we know how full encounters, full heal ups work at our game tables.
Right, because I'm a stingy guy there too. But even so,
even by math it works out to 6 encounters. But by story, you woke up, stretched, took 2 steps, 2 steps. Minutes. Yeah, you took 10 minutes to fight 2 unbelievably powerful creatures, and now you're spent.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's only 10 minutes into the day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, narratively speaking, you could very well say, well, you can't do a full heal up yet.
You could.
You could say, well, you can go back to camp. It's like an hour later than when you left camp. And you've got the rest of the day to worry about, well, what am I going to do with you now? I'm going to screw around with you until, you wake up again.
Well, and then even if you do, you don't get anything back if the DM wants to be a jerk about it. But the rules are built into it to where you probably should give them a full heal up after 2 fights like that. So,
but you could do 2 doubles.
Yep, 2 doubles before.
And then it's debatable.
Yeah. I think I'm doing that. I could be wrong. It may not be 4. It may be more than that. I don't know. But either way, it's a little loosey-goosey. But it does seem like, let's say I do 2 doubles and you end up using all your dailies or whatever. That doesn't mean you have to stop. It doesn't mean the adventure has to stop. You could still do more encounters. They're just going to be tougher.
Yeah.
So, and you may have to flee. I mean, I don't know that game. I think there's potential for 13th Age to work right, but I think I have to play it different.
Maybe. But it just seemed with the paradigm of the appropriately leveled encounter.
Mm-hmm.
That has been kind of a phrase that's been around for a little while now. 13th Age had it. I think it's in 5th edition too as a thing.
3rd edition. I've never done first with 3rd.
Yeah, third. Yeah, since 3rd edition, the appropriately leveled encounter.
Yeah.
And we all at that point we were as a group, our game group, we kind of were like, yeah, I guess I can see what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, I'm like, that was really a bad idea.
Well, because it's like you said, it's too predictable.
What it's made for is for more predictable play across different tables.
Yeah.
And I think instead of
League and Pathfinder Society,
instead of not worrying about how different tables do their thing, they went with, well, we're going to adjudicate this for you.
Yeah.
And I guess you didn't have to do it that way.
No, and I didn't always.
Right. But I think as time has gone forward, that idea has gotten stronger and more part of the game. And I think to its detriment, makes it more predictable and a little boring.
That sounds like something we're going to spend more time on.
Yeah.
But I think predictability, if you have limited advancement, it's just not very exciting at times, maybe, to think that the game is like, where am I going to go?
Right. So with all these other types, though, I can play any of them. the type of game, not necessarily the specific games you mentioned, some of the specific ones you mentioned, but one shots. I don't care what kind of game it is. I can have fun with anything in a one shot, just about.
Right.
So if there's no advancement at all, I think I like advancement in games, but if we decide to play a game where it's understood there's not really a lot of advancement, like let's say we decide we're going to play a Cthulhu campaign. You go in knowing what the deal is. You're like, okay, that's not part of that's not part of the deal, so you don't worry about it.
Right. Or hey, we're going to play superheroes, and I'm not giving you any advancements. Right. I'm going to start you with a heroic level Savage World Super, and that's what you're doing. We're telling your stories.
Yeah.
The Justice League Part 3. That's what we're playing.
Right.
So yeah. All right. Speaking of advancement, I think, are we ready to advance to the next segment, you think?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. So a little bit of Cabin Con action. Now, I'm going to go ahead and roll with this. Joe and I had a little bit of a debate, but not really. This is our technically, well, it's our 24th episode of numbers. I tricked Joe into starting at 0. So it's really our 25th episode, though it's numbered at 24. And because of really a comment by Jason, I think his name is Connerly from the Nerds RPG Variety Cast. He said he didn't know what Cabin Con was. So I thought we could recap that.
Sure.
Cabin Con, we meet once a year, usually in May. About anywhere from 10 to 20 of us get together, rent a couple of cabins up north, and we hang out, eat lots of food, shoot a lot of bull, and play as much role-playing games and card games and board games as we can. It's about 95% role-playing games. And it's not an official con. We just call it Cabin Con because we've been doing this. This is our 15th year coming up. We've had T-shirts made almost, 2/3 of the Cabin Cons. Our buddy Patrick does the T-shirt designs, and they're pretty fabulous. I got a closet full of them myself.
Yep.
And look forward to it every year. But that's what Cabin Con is. We try to have a little moment of that.
The we part of it is we who are friends with us. So a bunch of us pals here in Michigan got together one day. I'm not precisely sure whose big idea it was, but I think that the idea behind it was a lot of us couldn't necessarily afford the time or money to go to Gen Con.
Yep.
So someone came up with the idea of us getting together, and someone said, let's call it a Cabin Con. So we can just call it our own thing, our own con that we don't have to worry about Gen Con about.
Yeah, and it's pretty cheap for us. We don't spend too much money for 4 days of real gaming of awesomeness. I think I've been to Gen Con a bunch, and Cabin Con pretty much beats it in terms of a blast. Though I've had some really good years at Gen Con too, so I don't want to poop on that. But Cabin Con's phenomenal. It's a good price. We get to hang out, lots of jabbering with your friends, and it's just so much fun.
And we all look forward to it. I don't think of the folks that have come back repeatedly, that's what we all talk about, how much we look forward to it throughout the year. And there's many people that go to Cabin Con that also go to Gen Con.
Yeah.
There's a few.
Got a handful of dudes that came from Ohio. One guy one year came all the way from England, a friend of a friend. So yeah, it's pretty good time. It's just buddies. It's not an official con thing.
Yeah, it's by invite only.
Yeah, invite only. We keep it down to a reasonable number. And speaking of Cabin Con, we have had some advancement. It's not just one shots.
Correct.
So for about 8-10 years at Cabin Con, we played this campaign called Elysium. It was originally just a bunch of making up characters, 3rd edition, and fighting in an arena. I ran a short-lived Kingdom of Cormon 13th Age campaign there. And so we do have some advancement. We're hoping to have more this year with our new West Marches game. And is there another? Am I forgetting something? Is there another continuing game? I don't think so this year.
I don't think so.
So that one's going to be kind of a first, but we'll be starting something new. We'll see how it goes. But that is what Cabin Con is about. And so anyway, moving on then to our last segment here, Bud, Building a Better Gaming. What type of advancement are we going to have?
The kind of advancement where you have to pay Randy and Joe to level.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I think a geometric progression.
It'll give a new meaning to the treadmill concept.
I say we have 30 levels, and the first level only costs them a penny.
30?
30 levels. The first level is a penny. The second level is 2 pennies. The third level is 4 pennies. Then 8 pennies. Then 16 pennies. All the way
Why do you have an upper limit?
Dude.
You don't like money, do you?
No, dude. 2 to the 30th power will be our 30th payment.
2 pennies to the 30th power.
Correct. Would you like to know what that is?
Lay it on me.
2 to the 30th power. Okay. Divide by 100 for dollars, right?
Yeah.
We are looking, you and I would both get just over $10 million, almost 11.
Oh, I could deal with that.
I'm thinking that's fair. We don't go crazy.
Well,
that's a classic math problem, actually. 1 penny, 2 penny, 4 penny, 8 penny. Yep.
Okay.
And technically, you would total it up. So that would be our final payment. Divide by 2, 5 million would be our previous final payment. And 2.5 million would be our previous.
Would that be the amount gained throughout the whole course of payments?
Correct. No. That would be a 30th level payment.
Oh.
So the first level is only a penny.
How many people, though, would it take to generate that kind of coin? It couldn't be just a couple.
One person to go from level to, it would be, that's just the final payment, Joe. I would have to add up. Here's what you add up. 2 to the 0 plus 2 to the 1 plus 2 squared plus 2 cubed all the way to 2 to the 30th. That is millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Millions, like well over.
You'd have to have a lot of people signed on.
You need one person, because that one person pays all that to level up. See? The advancement.
So we need someone like Elon Musk or someone.
Yeah, we would. So yeah, our game would not be very popular, unfortunately. No, seriously, but you thinking our game is going to be, I think it's going to probably be a 0 to hero, hero to superhero game.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably with options, it'll definitely be 0 to hero, and probably advancing beyond that is definitely optional. You only have to write it optional. If you don't want to play higher than that point, you don't have to.
No, I think we'll leave the levels probably pretty open-ended. If you want to go to 57th level, I don't care. They could just follow the pattern and do extra stuff, I know, like in that 7 Spheres game where when you guys got past 20th, I just talked about choices.
Right.
I'll give my characters 2 or 3 different options that were powerful. I was looking at the Pathfinder book, and you remember they had the different advancement tables, slow, medium, and fast. In terms of advancing, do you think, would there be any reason for us to do that? Or you think we'll just set up, if we use experience tables and just say, if you want to change this, you can divide them by 2 or make it faster or slower, however you want to do it?
I think the best way to go is probably to have a standard. This is the standard game advancement paradigm, and then just have some options if you want to go slower or faster or
use milestones, whatever. Yeah, that sounds good.
I think I'm not sure what the base would be as far as whether it be points or milestones. I kind of lean to points, but
me too. But I like, we've talked about it a little bit before. I prefer it not to be in the hundreds of thousands of experience points personally.
Right. I get that.
We can scale it back and figure it out. I don't know. So, anything else you wanted to add tonight, my man?
No, I think we've gotten from 0 to a hero as far as podcasters.
I'm pretty sure we are. I don't know how much I'm feeling about 9th or 10th level. So
right. So instead of having millennial marketing terms, instead we'll just have a level title to this episode: heroic.
Heroic, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'd like to thank you. If you would support our show, please check out our website, www.biggestgeekestpodcast.com/support. Any contribution is appreciated. We thank you for your consideration. If you would, share with your friends, probably the most important thing, wouldn't you say, Joe?
Yes.
Our heroic podcast, and if they want to listen to heroes talking about gaming, we are definitely their men.
Yes.
If you have any questions or especially comments about this 0 to hero, hero to superhero discussion and what games fit in where, I hope there's lots of comments and a big debate to be fun. Email us at questions at biggestgeekuspodcast.com, or just drop us a little message on Anchor or wherever you catch our podcast. We'd also like to encourage you to check out a few others. Red Dice Diaries, John and Hannah. Did you listen to theirs today on the Gibbering Mouther?
No, I did not.
That was pretty good. That's a pretty good one. Radio Grognard with Glenn Hallstrom. Tale of the Manicore, which is kind of a unique quasi-actual play. And Tavern Chat with Eric Tinkar. Is there any others you've been listening to that you want to add, or you want to keep those as our big four right now?
Well, those are the primary ones.
We're
I've
really
been trying to
enjoying it.
expand. I've been watching because it's on more video format. The one I mentioned earlier tonight, I think.
Something or other.
I've already forgotten it again. I'm too old.
Yeah, buddy.
Legion of Myth.
Oh, Legion of Myth.
They're in the old school in a way. OSR not necessarily specifically. They just like the older games. And the last one I listened to, they talked a lot about Palladium.
Oh, okay.
Palladium
Do they have a lot of love? Do they have love for Palladium?
A lot of Palladium love.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. Well, this is Randy.
And this is Joe.
Remember, can't be big like us, then be geeks like us.